Simply add Showmax to your DSTV subscription using the My DSTV app.
For what?
All right, the program is still Summit. Thanks for still being there. Right now, we're going to be examining the Inec'S timetable extension. Well, it came to so many as a shock on Friday, where the Inec shifted ground to accede to the parties who have been clamoring for an extension of its primaries timetable. And on Friday, they shifted ground, and that's why APC actually chose a new date for its primaries election. And there's been so much outrage towards that stance that INEC took on this issue. Well, to discuss this topic with us, we have Mr. Ademola Adegoke. He's a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Morning, Jumoke and Banji, and thanks for having me today.
You're welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Are you just also emerging from the primaries of any political party?
No.
I see you done in the...
No.
All right, PDP actually successfully held its presidential primaries over the weekend. Because the information given by Jumoke now that INEC shifted its date came belatedly, came on Friday. PDP had fixed its primaries for its Saturday for its primaries. So it was almost impossible for PDP to reverse that decision. If we take this discussion back to March 5th, May 5th, the INEC had actually told the whole world that any shift in the timetable for 2023 elections would actually affect so many other things, and that it was tight and fixed. It had arranged everything, and it was impossible to actually adjust. The INEC did the impossible on Friday by reversing this decision. After pleas from the political parties, after pleas from IPAC, that's the Inter-Party Advisory Council, so many people had actually mounted pressure on INEC to shift the date. INEC refused. But surprisingly, it did that on Friday, when it was too late for PDP to... So what do you make of that?
Well, I don't think INEC has acted, beyond its powers to grant that adjustment in the timetable. It actually acted within the powers granted it by the law, because constitutionally, INEC is vested with the power to arrange elections, to determine the most suitable time for elections. And when you look at it, the INEC, in the press statement issued by INEC, it says that when you look at the window, and let's also not forget that the parties actually asked for a longer shift,
between 37 and 60 days.
But INEC now looked at their request and said, I can only grant you, just 6 days, that it will not affect, my own schedule. So I do not think, and INEC has that power, just 6 days, and it granted it that, okay, this 6 days, you are asking for 37, and I can't grant 37 or 60 days, but I can at least grant you 6 days, and I look at my own timetable. I can say that window of 6 days is quite innocuous to my own schedule. So INEC has acted within its power. I don't have a problem with INEC deciding when to hold election or when not to hold election, so long it has not gone beyond the time that the law allows. I don't have any issue with that.
But you have the problem with the fact that some people are saying that INEC is anything but independent. That this new decision to reverse it, or to actually reverse itself, was as a result of maybe some directive from outside the commission itself.
That statement was actually made by an ex-INEC commissioner.
Yes. How would that? What extent do you think INEC is independent? If it said no, and then do you also think that is to the advantage of APC or not?
If we want to, I will come to the side of the parties, But looking at INEC, for me, you understand, I do not think INEC has acted, ultra vires like the lawyers would say. It has acted within the powers granted it. What people are looking at is that, why should it shift? There is always, there is always a time for you to shift position.
Even when you have said no, capital no.
See, the thing is that someone says, someone has said that I'm not ashamed to say I'm sorry. After all, it's a way of saying I am wiser now than I was yesterday. So if I say something and, faced with new realities, I feel that I can shift my position. I don't think that is, for me, you understand, I'm not judging, I don't want to crucify INEC on the basis of this, 6-day extension. What my own worry is that the parties asking.
But are you not also worried that it was too close to the primaries of that, or particularly of that of PDP?
Of PDP.
Of Saturday?
Well, you see, when you are granted extension to do something, you are at liberty to either decide that you want to use that window.
When delegates are already in Abuja, delegates were already in Abuja from different parts of the country. You see, less than 24 hours to the convention.
You see, for PDP, it was too late to reverse. And I don't think it did it any harm. You understand? I don't think it did a PDP program any harm. In fact, for me, it's a plus to PDP. And that's why I say I'm coming to this. It's a plus to PDP that within that it confined itself, to the time that INEC originally granted. And for me, it's a plus to PDP that it was able to meet. And for me, I look at it that, while others seem ill-prepared, to abide by the time granted by INEC, PDP was able to confine itself to that schedule by INEC. You see, my own worry, like I've said, is not about INEC granting. If it is within INEC's power to grant and it is not doing the election any harm, I don't have any issue. What I have issue with is this. You see, in Yoruba, they say when they have a situation where a woman is found to have been ill-prepared for delivery after 9 months pregnancy, they say àlejò oṣù mẹ́sàn-án kò yẹ kó bá ní lójijì. You understand? That is a visitor that has served you a 9-month notice should not meet you unprepared. As for the parties asking, those are the people I have issues with. You understand? It is the parties asking for extension, because a party needs to know that and constitutionally, we have, you already know that, at the conclusion of the last election, 4 years after, there must be another election. So I expect that each party will be well prepared. You understand? And, each party will be well prepared, such that even if INEC wakes them up, a day or 2 weeks to the election, they will be fully prepared. And I want to give you an example. You see, those of us who have had the advantage, by dint of advantage of age, have enjoyed have had the privilege of seeing politics played by some of the founding fathers of this nation. And the way it is played now, we cannot but want to juxtapose the two, you understand, and draw some comparisons and contrasts. And what do I mean? September 21, 1978, the military head of state then announced the lifting of the ban on political activities. That was September 21. By September 22nd, Chief Obafemi Awolowo was out to launch his Unity Party of Nigeria with the manifesto, with the logo, with everything about the party well laid out. What does that tell you? someone that, you know, knows his onion, someone that is well prepared, you understand, that is not, so this is what one is saying. We need to interrogate, and that is why I disagree, you know, with, I watched the first segment of the program when you and Jumoke were talking about 23 years of democracy. Have we really enjoyed the 23 years of democracy?
No, uninterrupted, we said.
Uninterrupted. Please, let us not mistake democracy and civil, let us not mistake democracy and civil rule, you know, for each other. Civil rule, yes, we have been enjoying civil rule, you know, that is government by people in wearing the kind of clothes I wear, wearing the kind, not military people. That's civil rule. But if can you say in fair conscience, that we have actually enjoyed the kind of democracy that you want to desire, you know, that you see in other nations? Is that the kind of, you know, this is, you know, we are talking of democracy. That's why I saw Dr. Kayode talking about, you know, saying that we cannot prove that, you know, money was shared. When there are video clips everywhere about money being shared. Someone even went to say,
could he have been a beneficiary?
Returning back the money.
Could he have been a beneficiary to not have seen it?
I don't know.
Please, let's look at some of the issues that are coming up on this issue of INEC.
Yeah.
Like Serap is saying that if INEC now fails to extend deadline for voters' registrations, as it did for the parties' primaries, they are going to take them to court. No, these are issues that are not coming out. What do you think about that?
You see, I have said,
because we are talking about moving a goalpost in the middle of the game.
You see, this is the issue. Look at. You see, it's like, let's look at the game of football. You understand? The game of football is, you know, statutorily supposed to end by 90 minutes. But in between the game, there could be injuries, there could be stoppages that will now allow the
extra 4 or 5 minutes.
Extra 4 or 5 minutes. The question we will ask is, does the law allow the referee to add those 4 or 5 minutes? You understand? Does the law allow him to? If the referee now adds more than 4 or 5 minutes, we will say that he has gone beyond his bands, beyond his legal bands. But if he has not added more than 5 minutes, I don't think anybody can want to fault the referee, even though the law says after 90 minutes, I want to look at it this way. On the part of INEC, the parties are saying, please grant us some time. And then INEC looks at its own timetable, and it has now added, you know, enough. It has not actually pandered to the demands of the parties, because they are asking for between 37 to 60 days. It granted 6 days. So if Serap, if Serap is saying that it will go to court, now we will look at what the law says about INEC, you know, and conduct of elections.
But you should also consider the fact which one is more important. The extension of the voter registration or the extension of the date for the primaries? The extension
of the voter, you see, for me, you know, Banji, you know that I do not carry the card of any political party. I am just, you know, a common Nigerian analyzing issues as I see them. You understand? So for me, I think both INEC and both the parties asking for extension and Serap asking for the extension of registration, you know, it's only, you know, symbolic of one symptom, one phenomenon in this country, you know, the last minute phenomenon. When, you know, my compatriots like to do things at the last minute, such that when did INEC start, you know, this registration? When did they start the registration? So if people fail to register, you know, all this while, I don't know whether it is the 1 week extension now that we now make people register. I think we need to learn to do things at the right time in this country. You know, I've talked about the parties, that I am not it tells me that, you know, the parties asking for extension, it tells me about their level of preparation for the election. And if you are not ready for the election, which, you know, which is a vehicle for you to get the power that you deliberately, that you know, desperately seek, it then tells me that even I cannot be asking, how prepared are you for the governance of the country?
You seem to have absorbed INEC all along, for extension or otherwise. But do you also see a sense in the suspicion that INEC is actually complicit in some of the ills, that some of the challenges that our elections have suffered? Now, the last minute rush, still using your phrase. Only on Friday, the former president, the former president now, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, got a clearance from a Inec'S court, clearing him to run for presidency. That's in 2023. And that probably is the reason why a lot of people have the suspicion that INEC may have actually granted the extension of 6 days to accommodate this new entrant. Now, do you see the reason why Nigerians believe anything is possible?
No.
So, for even people asking for extension of voter registration, are they justified or not?
You see, we have seen enough in this country for us not to want to trust anybody or any institution, including INEC. We've seen enough, and I do not blame people. You understand? Who are you know, smelling a rat, you know, in that regard. I do not blame them. I do not blame, because we've seen enough, and they are, to that extent, people are, you know, justified that for wanting to suspect that perhaps INEC is also in cahoot with some people to circumvent the process. I don't have any. I do not have. I want to agree with those people. But what I am saying, it's not as if one is, you know, one is just, after all, I'm not a spin doctor for neither INEC nor the political parties. Mine is to look at
so
issues.
So you may be a bit circumspect when you are defending INEC now.
Of course, I'm not actually defending INEC the way you are looking at it. I'm only saying that let us ask ourselves: have they acted beyond the law? Or they are within? Does the law protect INEC to do what it has done? That is my own question. If the law protects INEC to have done what, except you can say now that the time granted by INEC, you know, the Constitution, it has violated the provisions of the Constitution or the Electoral Act. Then you can now be, you know, you can now take up INEC. I'm not actually defending INEC. You understand? But I'm just looking at issues the way the way they should be looked at legally. So that is my own.
Do you see the need to actually extend the registration window or not?
Well, if it's not going to upstage INEC's schedule, why not? They have granted it for the parties, so they should. But then, you understand, like I am saying that everything should be within the bands of the law.
Jamaica, we have to go.
All right, yeah, we have to go now. Thank you so much, Mr. Ademola Adegoke.
Thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.
All right, so we'll be back on Wednesday for another edition of the program, and you can be sure that it will be another burning issue in our polity. My name is Jumoke Michael. See you again. Bye-bye.
My name is Banji Busari. Thanks so much.